This is happiness, to be everything at once. Be unblinded, be unlearned, be unbridled and unburned.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to a brand new episode of Mood Prep. My name is Dave Nixon, and today on the podcast I'm going to talk about another little quote, which is seek peace, not victory. And I think this is something that's a very, very difficult pill to swallow for many people or for everyone in different situations. But seek peace, not victory, I think is quite a profound little bit of advice that we could all lend our ears to and lend our thoughts to from time to time, because what we're sort of referring to here is how often we may indulge in a conversation to try and prove someone wrong, right? Which is effectively trying to prove ourselves right. And it's heavily based around the ego. And once again, it's not to be like ego's bad. It's just like, well, are you trying to find out the truth, or are you trying to belittle someone to keep your own ideology of who you are and how you show up in the world true, to match your map that you created around how you make sense of the world and your status in it. And so rather than trying to seek victory over somebody, especially ourselves, even like battling our demons, and I think there's some quite poetic analogies that especially go into mythology and all sorts of stuff when looking at dragons, and I really, personal dragons, individual dragons, and going from there. But really what I'm getting at here is that whatever we try and combat and beat, we give life. So whatever you resist persists is another way to think about it. And so rather than trying to fight our past or fight our, dark urges or whatever, it's actually learning how to seek peace with them. Rather than trying to fight our spouse and have victory over them in a particular way, it's actually trying to seek peace. It's not me versus them, it's me and them versus the issue, as opposed to me trying to prove them wrong. The other thing to look at here is, rather than just going in for a win-loss conversation, we know to go for a win-win conversation, which is good. But what's even better than a win-win is a win-win-win. So it's a win for me, it's a win for them, and it's a win for the greater good and for the long-term health of the community, etc. And I think when we're able to come from that angle, it gives it a different perspective of not just in the moment, but what are the long-term effects and consequences of this current conversation, and are we seeking the truth, or are we seeking to be right? And I think there's a really important distinction within that, to actually continually seek the truth, and somewhat remove your ego. So step out of your own self and look at yourself objectively for a moment to go, okay, am I trying to just be right in this situation, or am I actually trying to seek the truth? And I think there's power in that. For one, there is 100% power in seeking the truth, because this is something that's so crucial for us to remember, is that the truth always comes out and character never lies. And so this is why it's so fucking crucial to be true to yourself, be true to your thoughts, true at least with what you're thinking and what you feel and what arises in you, rather than trying to oppress it, because it's going to come out. Doesn't matter what you do, it's going to come out. You can avoid it for a little while, but it's going to fester. You know this. It's going to fester, and it's going to show up somewhere else. People, they're more cunning than you may realize, and they can pick up on it as well. So if there's something that's true for you that you're not talking about because you're trying to keep the peace, it's time to actually keep the peace by facing that thing front on. And this is where a lot of people get confused. They're like, I fucking hate confrontation. It's like, you're not talking, you don't mind confrontation. You hate conflict. That's different. Confrontation and conflict are very, very different, because you'll find the people that hate confrontation just hate confrontation in areas that they're not in control. But when they're in control, which could be like a gym setting maybe, or maybe it's like a soccer game, or maybe it's a test, which is quite confronting, they actually might find that they're propelled forward to go into that and to go and challenge themselves, right? That's confronting. That's confrontation. It's confronting, right? And so in that circumstance, it's actually conflict that person's avoiding, but by avoiding conflict, we actually end up creating it. And this is a really important understanding and distinction to make, that by avoiding conflict, you create conflict. It doesn't fucking go away. The person doesn't just fucking forget about it. And the other thing about it is that your shitty fucking attitude and behavior around that ends up getting away with it, and it thinks, fuck, I can do that again, and I can do it again. And it's just a matter of time until the universe serves you up your lesson. So if you have something that's true to you, don't keep the peace, speak your peace. This is different. Don't keep the peace, speak your peace. So seek the truth, remove your ego, stop trying to do the easy thing. The easy good thing is often the issue, and go for the long-term win. Now, it might mean it sucks in the short term, but at least that way you're seeking peace. Because sometimes by being silent, it's actually, and letting the other person have their way with it, you think that they get the victory, but it's not. You get the victory, and it's not. Both people lose. That's when both people have a victory but lose. It's because they lose long term. So, remove the ego. Speak what is true for yourself, and realize that you're a human being that is often wrong, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. Because what's more important is actually stumbling forward rather than being stubbornly immovable, right? So just repeat that again. What's more important is that you stumble forward. You don't have to look confident all the time. You don't have to look like you know everything all the time. It's okay to be the student. It's okay to mumble your words and fumble through it. That's how we get better. It's okay to put your hand up and ask for help. It's okay to do all of that. It's not okay to just stay in your little stubbornness because your ego is too fucking precious to be wrong, that your whole world will fall apart and you start crying. Like, fuck, if that's one of your issues, like, you got other things going on. So this ability to be able to be honest and open up and move forward towards all those things that are slightly challenging and just a little bit slightly difficult, slightly unknown, to be able to stumble forward, to be able to accept how are you going to handle this if you're wrong, right? Is it more important that you're right, or more important that the truth occurs and the truth comes forward? And that's a question you need to answer yourself. Team, I'm out. Thank you very much for listening to this podcast. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. And if you did and you found it beneficial, it would mean the world to me if you could pass it on to just one person that you also think will find it beneficial. I had a great podcast with James Whitaker today. If you haven't already, jump on and listen to that. I won't ruin it for you. It's an awesome podcast. I really enjoyed it. Also, as I mentioned in my other podcasts, I've got a book coming out, but I do need your help, please. I would love it if you could help me out and jump on and pre-order a sale for it. I need to get to 250 copies, and then I'll get much more exposure to publishers. So that goes right through to the 17th of July. But it'd be in the world. There should be a link in the comments if you can go there. It would be awesome. I'd really appreciate that. Thank you. Otherwise, team, until next time, peace and pizza. Kick today in the dick. Slay the dragon. I'll see you soon.
To be everything at once, be unblinded, be unlearned, be unbridled and unburned.